Hi everybody. I'm going a little dark today. I'm going to use this. Well, I'll tell you what my inspiration is first. This. It's a see-through one, a sheer. What do you see when you look into it? You know, I'm sort of thinking it's like a night sky, and I quite like the idea of putting a moon in and bringing more light in where it lights up the clouds a bit, and just seeing where I go with it. So I had this, which is very similar colour, might use that. I just went and searched for a few other bits. See how these delicious colours here. Ooh. That's a light blue. See, if I'm looking under, I can pick up those colours. Same with that. Look at that. Well, there's a starry sky, isn't it? So there's plenty of things I can try on this one. And it's a different kind of colour range. And I like playing with that kind of thing. Different colours. I'm going to start off with a piece of this though. I'll make a square one. So I'm just going to check out here what I need. Be about that big. Well, let's have a look to start with. What are we thinking? Really, I just thought I loved this fabric. Which bit do I like? And just choose a bit and get started. But because I just like to go with the flow, I'm just going to cut that first bit off. It'll be something like that. Oh, well, let's see what else we've got. I am wanting a moon. Not sure what size. Might even add some other bits to that, but something. I don't know whether it's going to be on the top or underneath. I've got choices, you see. Let's try a bit of this. Above or under. So you can see where I'm going. I'm also going to try and do some sort of foreground, because it can't just be a sky, although a sky would be pretty. And we'll see what we can come up with. Can you see the twinkling of those little bits? When we did this and we had a few little bits fall off, I didn't mind, and I can see them underneath. They are making little stars and things, so that's okay. For a start, I'm just going to see what crafts I can bring into this. I have this nice bit of wool and silk roving, very similar colours. I'm just wondering whether this would needle felt. If I grabbed a bit like that, would it? I think because this is got quite a loose weave, and so does that it's a possibility. And so I'm just going to see. Maybe it does and maybe it doesn't, but this is what we do. We experiment and we see. Any of it come through? Yes, it did. So I think I could use some of that. I could use it underneath or on top, so that's another thing we can experiment with. Alright, I've experimented, but what I can see is happening is, can you see these white lines? That's because as we're needle felting, it's pulling that thread down. And what this is a printed fabric. So it's printed after the fabric's been made, and that way you can move the design which you probably don't want in this instance, so I won't do that. I'll take that off, but I'm still curious what happens if I put it there. Does that interfere with things? Is it even seen? Then we may not need to do it as thoroughly then, you see, because maybe you just see through. I don't know, but we'd have to use something that got a little bit more colour to it, because I can't see that. Can't see it at all. Therefore, waste of my time. No, not really. I've learnt something, so I'm not going to bother with needle felting. That's out. I'm going to do it other ways. You know, the more that thing slides around, the more it gives me ideas of where I want my moon, where I might want it. It keeps changing, doesn't it? Anyway, I haven't made up my mind yet, so that's okay. What about this? I like it. Look at that colour. Wow. You know? Isn't that nice? Would it be at the top? Would it be lower down? Would it be in smaller bits? Could I do a different shape by ripping? Because I don't really want it to be a stripe. Yeah, could do that. Something. Right, so we can play with that. I like that. I like it a lot. Well, it doesn't need to be ripped. If it's going to rip in straight lines, which I don't really want, then, I can easily cut it. Because I'd rather something that has some sort of natural kind of look to it. You know, even if it's just a bit. There's choices there. You know, and I could build up quite a nice sky like that, but I would want more light colours. That would be important. And I would want something here as a little bit of foreground. Which bit do you think looks like something? Isn't it lovely? If ever I see these at the op shop, I grab them because, you know, they are stupendous. Alright then. Yeah, maybe I'll use the greenish bit in the bottom, and I'll use some of the darker bits or other bits at the top, and we got ourselves the makings. And that thing that we had before, that worked quite good, didn't it? This. What about if I just did it? Can you see all those bits falling off? Starry sky. You know? How's that? See that better? There. So we got a bit of a start to a foreground. We put some stars in the sky, and now we'll work up from there. Right, well, I'm thinking, what's going to stop these bits from falling off if I cut them and put them under there? My stars. I like it. And I'm thinking we'll use some fusible web, and we'll put that down, and then we'll fuse this one on the top. And that way we can place all these little tiny bits, you know, and then just put the paper on top, and we'll iron through it, and we'll be good to go. That's the idea. Can you see? It's now fused. And if I can see, if I pull that, there we go. Now it's not going to give us a good view of what it's like, but I probably didn't want them in there, but I can obscure that. That's no worries. And I'm thinking I can even use these things, you know. I don't need to needle felt it. I can just do that. Some bits and pieces in there. Let me see how it goes. Don't know. I do like this stuff because it does that. This is just a wool, but it's a wool. A woolen, sorry, not a wool. It's a yarn, shall we say? It's not made of wool. It's just very interesting. You know, what would it look like? So that's what you do. You just experiment. You've got a shear. You're putting it over. You know, it does bring colour. So that's what we're after. Some shine, some clouds, a little bit of colour. We'll see what we end up with. There's some wool. And they do look like wispy clouds, don't they? If I just do something like that. Honestly don't know, but I'm just going to make a decision. And you see, at any time I can put this on and I can iron through that, and they will also stay there to our gluey background. Are you ready? There we go. Something to start with. Pop something over and see what we got. Now, can we see what we've done? Can't really see this blue one. Why can't I? Maybe the lighter ones showed up better, didn't they? Oh, I think we could trap plenty of things under there. See, I've got a start of a cloud there. And if you cut a piece of this out and you think, there, that's what I'm going to want, then you can work with it. Oh, look, I also see a horizon. And perhaps we've got a lake. Mm. Well, now that I've seen that horizon there, I can't stop unseeing it, so look at this. Is that the start of a picture? Did I want more sky? So here's some lighter coloured wool silk mix. Going to add a bit of that and see. What about if we use that and then put, because this didn't show up very much, did it, the dark? But we could put it on something light and it might. Like the idea that we're going to have a little bit of cloud across the moon as well. Don't know. I quite like obscuring that silvery moon a bit. Don't forget, I can always put things on the top layer, on top of this. But yeah, see the clouds going, drifting across the moon there. We've brought in a little bit of bluish colour. Try a bit more of that. So I did put some colours behind. And I have glued the whole thing down just by putting that paper on top. And you know, it's held enough. I didn't glue this end because I'm not sure what I want to do there yet. And I can always lift it off if I really want. But it's a great way for tacking things down. And it gives us something that we can pick up, you see. I like that. I'm just looking at this wool. I could pop a little bit of that underneath. This, I've decided this is water, this foreground. So I could pop that under. And then I grab, from up here, I cut off that selvage edge. See how it was really interesting? I liked it. So I put it where I kind of see this little horizon line, you see. Just popping that in there. And something like that. That's pretty nice, isn't it? You might not think so yet, but I think we can do something with it. I'm hoping so. I've shown you before these thick and thin wool, dyed wool that I just love. I'm just going to count some down. I think I'm wanting to obscure. I've got this piece of silver that I didn't really want, so just wanting to obscure that. I could pick it out with a needle, but I put a little bit here too. I'm liking that. Now I got this one out, which I thought would be really good for a horizon line, dark, something like that. And the other thing I was looking at was I've still got this here that I don't particularly want. I'm just going to obscure it, I think. Can you see how that green would pick that up? I will try and make that into something that looks like skeletons of trees or something. That's what I'm thinking anyway. So once we get these other colours in, I think you'll find it's a whole lot better. But I can't do it all today. So we might just give you an idea of what we can do. Setting it out like this, getting it ready, getting our ideas together. And now, making those first little stitches. Now, can you see this? This is a yarn, but it's actually made up of loads and loads of strands. And so I'm going to use it as a thread. I've cut out some lovely half moon kind of shapes from a pearly kind of organza, and I've put it on top. I'm just now pinning it in place, because that's where I want it. I'm going to leave my clouds coming through the center because I think that looks very effective. But I think I'll use this thread, which has all of those greys and light blues and things in it, and just start by going around and taking that outside edge of the moon around in a circle, making sure that it's all attached down. So right now I'm just going inside the edge of that bit of organza just to make sure it's going to stay where I want. A simple running stitch will do me, and it's going to hold that there. I know I want it, so I'm going to place it there. I might put more things on top, don't know, but this will just anchor it. Now let's have a look. I also put some lines in. I went around there, and to take the top or bottom of those semicircles, I just continue to line outside into the sky. I think that that'll work as part of the clouds I'm going to build up. So while I'm working on this layers and placement and planning, can you pick that out at all? Can you see the shine that we're getting? We've got little twinkling stars behind. We've got some lovely whirling colours in the clouds that we can later pick out with a little bit of embroidery or something. And it's really coming together nice. So I think we'll stop here, and next time we'll continue with the stitching. We might add in a little bit more and just complete this project. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I'm going to be quite excited myself to see where it goes, how it turns out. Now, once again, thank you for watching, and don't forget, if you've liked it, press like and subscribe. See you next time.